Welcome back everybody to my channel. Hi, I'm Rizbot the Blade, your personal mining guru, and today we're gonna teach you finally how to be a professional miner and mine with Argo Mole mining ship, which is your best choice what you can have for mining in Star Citizen. So first I need to just say a few things that when I start to mine and start basically play the Star Citizen, I was mining for 3 years in a row, constantly every day for like 5-6 hours. So I have huge experience in mining and I really like this game loop, and it for me is like the most interesting and fun game loop in the game. In these 3 years, I teach over 1,000 new players how to get into mining world, and basically most of them I help to get their first new like prospector mining ship so they can do the mining on their own. I was always having a lots of mining ship, like 4 or 5 moles, 6, 7, 8 prospectors. It depends on the patch, and we were always using these ships, and these ships were always out mining. So sometimes I could not even go away from, stations from refineries because they would just keep coming with the new ore and keep delivering. This is slower paced of game, and if you're somebody who just want action all the time, it's not gonna be something for you. That's why before we're gonna teach you anything else, we need to talk about what's the two biggest enemies in mining for you, which you need to be aware of. And no, it's not pirates and griefers, it's impatience and laziness. These two things you can't have when you're mining. With that all said, let's now start to explain you everything. First lesson in mining which you need to learn is how to fix bugs and use workarounds to be able actually to play mining loop in Star Citizen. We have few bugs in this new 3.24 patch which are the same like in previous patch. So let's teach you that first. First bug is connected to the actual mole mining ship. This bug occurs when a person who is flying a ship is sitting in the pilot seat, and other players are also sitting in their mining turrets on the mole, which you have 3. They cannot normally see in front of them and use the laser because laser head is turned to the right side. It's 2 workarounds to fix this bug. One is that pilot needs to stand up from the pilot seat, but if the pilot wants to be in pilot seat, he can just press P on the keyboard, which is default keybind in the game for shutting off weapons on the ship. In both cases in these workarounds, the mining heads gonna turn back to their normal natural state, which is normally facing exactly forward, and then players who are in the mining turrets can normally use these mining turrets and mine. Second bug which we have in the game is actually connected somehow with backpacks and the floor area where you are standing. So what that means is that in mining you need to use mining modules which you're gonna be attaching on mining heads all the time because they're wear off, many of them. They're active modules. And because of that, you need to carry them in your backpack, and you need to, jump out of the ship and normally manually put them with a tractor beam on actual mining heads. But the bug which occurs with that is that if you jump out and you wanna drop them from your backpack to the surface floor when you're mining on the surface on moons and planets, you can't drop them out. So workaround for that is that you need to drop them on the floor in actual ship and then drag them with tractor beam out through the elevator on the surface floor, and then you can manually normally still carrying them with tractor beam and attach them to the mining heads. To put these modules which are still good back in your backpack, it works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't work. In some situations you're gonna be able to mostly drag them back in your backpack, but sometimes not even that is working, so you need to do that manually again carrying them with your tractor beam, and then pushing them through the opening of your elevator back inside the ship and just drop them on the floor. And then when you get up in your ship, you just drag them from the floor to your inventory. So that works. The third bug which occurs in mining is the bug which is connected to the small devices which are called mining gadgets, and you need to use these gadgets to get much more benefits to cracking bigger rocks. Usually how you're supposed to place these gadgets on the rock is that first, normally you need to drag them from your inventory. Doesn't matter if that's like local inventory in your ship or it's your backpack or the box which you can have in your ship. You drag them under your backpack, so they're gonna be outside on your backpack, and then you drag them from backpack to your hands. To be able to place this gadget on your rock, you need to go next to the rock. And how this was working before the actual bug occurs in the game is that you just hold your gadget in front of you and you then hold left click, and in that time when you click it and holding it, you're gonna see in front of you on the rock olive green color blueprint, which represents where you're gonna place your gadget. But how it works now, because it's bugged, you can't do that anymore with just clicking left click, but you need to hold F, and then in the right top corner where it says detach button on actual gadget, you need to click that button 2 times, and then this olive green color blueprint is gonna be visible again on the rock. When you decide where you're gonna place the gadget, then you just need to press left click once, so not holding it, just pressing it, and normally your character is gonna put it on the rock and it's gonna stick there. So this is how this works now. But we have a small difference when you're mining on surface and you're mining in space in asteroid belt, for example, or just mining asteroid rocks. So the difference is that this, what I was explaining for this gadget, was on the surface. And if you wanna put this gadget in space when you're mining asteroids, you need to first press this detach button when you're holding in your hands the gadget inside the ship. Because we have this like a, if you wanna say like picture bug, where when you jump out of the ship in the space, when you're floating, you can't see anymore this detach button in the right corner, so you cannot press it. So you need to press it 2 times in the ship, then you jump out, you EVA towards the rock, and then you just click once left click, and then it's gonna attach it on the rock. So this is how it works in space. One more bug that we have with the mining gadget is that they're, when you're putting them on the rock, they're facing upside down. So this is not some major bug, but it's still a bug, and you just need to adapt yourself to like read it from upside down and not correctly like you should. Now when I'm placing it on, you're gonna see how it's gonna place it wrong, and this is how this looks like. So just you need to read it again properly. Now the numbers are on the left side but upside down, and you just move the sliders and push them towards 90%. So it's the same thing, but it's just a little bit more difficult, right? So this is 3 bugs and workarounds how you can help yourself when you're gonna start mining, because you're really gonna hate this if you're not gonna know how to fix it. Now I'm gonna teach you a few more things which is not concerned bugs in the game, but we're gonna connect it to this section of the bug part of the video, because it can also help you a lot in your mining. One of the things is that because of some weird reason, developers decide that when you're mining with mole and when you mine with the front main turret under the cockpit, your glass around that cockpit, because this is like a closed chamber first mining turret, it's gonna start to be dirty through time, even if you're just floating in the empty space and not even on the surface. To clean your glass, it's only one way to do it, and this is that you need to go to some, mining facility on moons, or in the hangar in stations, or in the city in hangar, so anywhere you can land, and then you need to repair your ship. So with repairing your ship, you're cleaning your glass. That's the only way to do it. But now you have sometimes a problem that your ship is not damaged, so you cannot repair the ship. So what in that case you need to do, you just need to bump a little bit in some side of the hangar, or if you're in mining facility you have these like light poles. So just hit it a little bit with the ship, and then you're gonna get a little bit damage, and then you just land on the pad or on the floor in the hangar and you repair your ship, and this is how you fix that problem. It's one more trick what I need to mention, and this is gonna help you a lot, is that when you have damage on your ship, right? So your mining modules fell off from your ship and you don't have them anymore, and you don't have them anymore attached on your mining heads, you're not supposed to repair the ship, because you can have repair costs like over 300k. So this is huge to pay. So what you need to do in that case, so you need to go back with your ship to station where you're gonna do refinery ticket. You don't land inside of hangar or on the pads, you just leave it next to pad. And then you just jump out, you go to the station inside through the landing pads because you have elevators there. And then you go in the refinery and make a ticket, because yes, you can make tickets even if the ships are outside of station floating somewhere, but they need to be in armistice zone. When you make a ticket, then you go back to your consoles for spawning ships, and then you claim another ship. So with that claiming, you're gonna get brand new ship with all modules which you're defaultly set up, and then you don't need to pay for repair normally. It's just logical thing, right? You're getting back everything with insurance. But now you have this ship outside next to the pad. So what you can do is, before you're gonna leave it there on the pad, you just open the ship ports with holding right alt and pressing K. And then when you're gonna get out with your new mole, you can take off, when you're standing from the pad, the lasers and other modules from that mole. So basically you can take, for example, one more helix mining head from that old, like damaged mole, and just put it through the elevator inside your mole. So you're gonna have one more helix laser head in case if you need to crack the biggest possible rocks. And normally if you have some good mining module, you also take it in and you're gonna have it as a reserve, so you don't have to pay for new ones, because the most expensive ones cost like 40 or 60k one module. One more thing what you can do when you're mining with mole with a team, is that you can exchange modules when the ship is in the air floating. So you don't have to land again, rearrange your distances and everything. But if you have operators in the mining turrets, and turrets are extracted like you see here, I can actually remove these mining modules from them when the turrets are, turning full to the right, for example, on the right turret. And now I can have access to this module, right? So you can do it like this, but we can do that only on the right turret, to directly put module from inside the ship to actual mining head. But the easiest way to do it is to remove the entire mining head and pull it in through this opening. As you see here, now I'm pulling it towards myself, and I can actually put it inside the ship. And now you put it on the floor, and we can, with pushing to the right, again you looking the arrows, you remove the modules, right? And you can put the new module on the actual mining head. This is basically always the thing that you need to do when you're mining like Continuum or Gold, where you're supposed to have big green, green optimal zone, in which you're gonna hold your charge bar. Because in these parts which are pure, and you have like 100% Continuum or maybe Gold, because these two have the lowest optimal window, it's very good to put like 2 focus modules on actual host fade laser, right? And I also gonna do that on the left laser, but on left laser, like I said, I always using Arbor as a default, so we're gonna put there 2 Rigers C3, which are original setup as a default, right? How I'm setting it up. And because now when we were breaking the first break, I set up Stampede and Surge, right? So we removed that completely down, and now you see I'm again pulling the entire mining head, because now these 2 modules are on the right side and I don't have access to them, so I need to put entire mining head inside the ship, and I can easily exchange both modules and put, you know, Riker C3s or whatever you want, you know, what you want to do as your setup. So this is how this is done. And like I said, these 2 mining heads are the best combo, if you want to say it like that, for breaking these smaller parts which has very big purity and they have like low optimal green zone and very big instability, right? So if the part is even bigger, then you just add, you know, as a third laser helix on it, and then you can easily crack everything. If I would not run, for example, Arbor Razor, I would definitely put maybe 1 more host fate, you know, because it's gonna be even bigger green. But you need to understand, for these second breaks, if they're pure and you have 2 host fates, they're gonna increase instability for 20%. And that's very bad when you have these pure continuum parts or maybe even gold. So that's why it's much more recommended to use this mining head, the Arbor, which is default one, than actually 2 host fates, because if you have somebody who is not so experienced in the ship, they can still blow up the rock and you're gonna lose very good money on it. What I'm gonna show you now, it's how to change on the side lasers, you know, the mining modules. And as you see, normally from this opening we can have access to the mining head, and we can also remove this mining module, but only underneath one, which is on the bottom, right? So only see on the right one we can't, you know, we don't have access to that one, only to this bottom one. So what that means, we need to figure out somehow how to take the head where we're gonna be hovering in the air, not going out from the ship, and how to exchange them. So to do that, if you can see on this right side, it's like a covering plate for the laser. And now we are turning this mining head, and we're gonna put it here on the right corner of this like plate. You're gonna see it now. And as you see, these now mining modules are on the bottom, left and right side. So they're doing like counterweight. So with this, putting it like that on this plate, if I remove now the left one, the right one is gonna holding the mining head on this same position to not flip over to fall on the ground, because it's doing like a counterweight on the right side now. And now we can, you know, just take this mining module inside the ship. We can put like other 2 modules, you know, I put this like filtering modules out, so it's gonna be much more visible for you how to do this. And so first we're putting this one on this where we remove the old module, right? And then after that, the mining head gonna want to flip down, because now you're putting weight on it. You need to grab it fast now. So now I'm gonna release, and now you see what is happening. It's gonna fall down. So after this, you putting the mining head back on his spot, and then you're gonna remove a mining module which is underneath. So this is the procedure how to do that correctly, you know, for your mining head to not fall off on the ground. But even if this happens, right, even if mining head somehow fell down, so you're not so successful of doing this, you don't have to worry about it. You can always get to a pilot seat, you land down with the ship, and then you just, you know, put manually from outside all this stuff back on the ship. So mining head and also the mining modules. So this is how this is done, but just remember, it's very correct procedure what you need to do. One more important thing what you need to remember very good is that never leave these all modules and gadgets on the floor. Reason for that is that they get damaged through time if you leave them on the floor. So that's why you always need to store it in your backpack or in your box or wherever you can, right? Even you cannot leave them on the mining heads because like you see this one here now it's still green, but you just need to remove it and store it because through time it's also gonna get damaged and it's gonna be completely unused. So how you see if they're still good or not? So you see this Stampede module, it says size 1 with green letters, right? So this is brand new one. This is like half used or half damaged, and this is completely used or damaged. So it has letters, it says size 1 with red letters, right? It's not green anymore or yellow if it's half used. And also what is concerned gadgets, you also need to store them because if they get left outside, they're gonna get like sparks coming out from them, and that's gonna be completely unusable anymore. One more extremely important tip that I can give you is when you're mining full rock or second breaks, it can happen you're gonna have this, what we said before, like delays, right? Or lags or lag delays, however you want to call it. So when this happens, this green optimal range, it's gonna resize, so that means it's gonna downsize to be smaller on its own. And that can last very long time, right? It can last like maybe 10 seconds, they can last 20 seconds, 30 seconds, It just depends, how big is gonna be that, delay on the server. So when this happens, this is now very important. Do not increase the power to push it more up to, save that breaking at that particular time. Just leave it how it is, or even what is even more better, reduce it a little bit. So this is where you need to have this patience again. You can't force it to break it, because what is happening is when this delay lag stops, you're gonna be already in the red, It's just gonna, speed it up, if you wanna say it like that. And then you're gonna blow up the rock completely, or you're gonna at least little bit overcharge it, like you see it here. This is exactly what is happening here, in this case, what I'm showing you now. So this piece is almost 30 SU of Continuum. So only that piece is 750k in money, just that piece. And we probably lost maybe 400k just with overcharging just tiny bit red, what you're gonna see here. So never increase it when this starts to happen. Always stay with all lasers on the same power, or decrease it completely, or at least a little bit decrease it, so it's not gonna rise more, but it's gonna stay on some particular height, and it's not gonna move. What is concerned team mining, and if some players wanna like help with prospectors, with small mining ships to crack some rock to put their lasers on, we have one problem with that. So when you're mining big rocks and they have something which is very explosive, like Continuum, Taranite, Laranite, Hephaestionite maybe, this is all explosive. They have explosive factor big, these all materials. And because the Prospector has size 1 shields, it doesn't have size 2 like Mole. Prospector shields cannot withstand that blasts when you're mining these big rocks. So what that means exactly is that if you're gonna be very close, like on 50 meters, even 100 meters away from rock, your ore bags gonna explode and fall off from ship, or your complete Prospector can blow up. Players don't know that, because when you're mining normally with Prospector, you don't mine this big, like 50 tons rock and above. You mine to maximum like 20 to 30. That's maximum what you can crack with full power output on Prospector, right? You cannot crack more than that. And because of that, Prospectors needs to be like on 300 meters away, parked, right? if they want to be close where the mining is happening, or they need to always think about that you need to be moving your ship very fast away in last like 2-3 seconds before the rock is gonna crack. So you're gonna be like on 200 meters or more in that particular moment. And now you're gonna see what is gonna happen to Prospector, which is parked just left from us, like in some 50 meters away from rock. And you always need to think about that. If you don't, you're gonna have the same destiny like this parked Prospector. His ore bags are exploding, you know, pushing him even in the air. You see how he's jumping. And now he's only useful just for, you know, maybe cracking rocks and searching for rocks, but you cannot collect anything without the bags anymore. Last tip that I have for you is that when you're doing team mining and you have like 2-3 people going with one mole, you're supposed to go with multiple ships to search for rocks and not going all in the mole. Only pilot's supposed to go in the mole, and other 2 players supposed to go in other 2 types of mining ships, or it's moles, or usually it's prospectors, right? And the reason for that is that you're increasing the chances to find rocks which are bigger, better, and you're finding them faster because you're going 2 or 3 different directions at the same time. Because if you have players who are just sitting in mining seats, only actual pilot is searching for rocks and they're not doing anything. And actually these 2 players supposed to search more for rocks than the actual pilot of the mole. So if the players don't have prospectors, you can always rent them in all the refineries in Stanton system. So all stations have refineries, and with that, you know, you can go with all 3 ships to search for rocks. So when you find the rocks, then normally you're gonna land with prospectors and the mole. You're gonna leave prospectors a little bit further away. All players go into mole, and then you're mining with all 3 lasers on the mole. Plus, you have more storage because you also bring prospectors. So this is like 64 more SU of additional storage, which can get very handy, you know, when you have like bigger rocks and you need to like collect pieces which are, you know, like terrible breaks, but you still have maybe continuum inside, which is very useful to take. Now we're gonna exactly explain you how to scan and search for rocks. We have 3 basic like keys with which we are searching for rocks, and before I'm gonna explain them and what each of them does in the mole, it's similar also in Prospector. We need to explain to you that we also have a data for like asteroid rocks, which they have their own signatures. So if you see these all signatures here, it's giving you like different data, what you can basically get in each singular rock, but this is only probability what you can get. So this is not exactly what you're gonna get. It's just maybe something what you can get from this and that percentage. So don't look too much to that data. You just basically need to go to each individual rock and manually scan it, then you're gonna know exactly what you have inside that rock and if you wanna take it or not. We're gonna explain you now exactly how this scanning works. We have 3 default keys for searching for rocks, and this is tab, which is for pinging. You have V, which is for a scanner, and you have M, which is for putting a different type of scanner which you're using to exactly look towards the rock, so you can see what, you know, mass this rock is, what ingredients is, like materials, how much SU of that all materials inside, right, and what is percentages, you know, of all these materials which are inside of this rock. So how this works? First, we need to press tab, and now you see, now I have these unknown markers. It says unknown, and underneath it says distance from it. So the easiest way how to see if you can be also like double far like you now from them is just to press V. So this is a scanner, and now you put exactly on this where it says unknown, where it's the middle, right, and put this, you see pierce on the right side,
put on 100%, right? Like this. So this is what you're doing with scrolling mouse up and down, right? We're gonna scan it again when it's on 0 to show us markers, otherwise it cannot show you this unknown markers. So always need to turn it back to 0 or at least on 50%. If you're above, you see like this, like 50%, it's not gonna show you these unknown markers anymore. So you always need to turn it back on 50 or on 0. And now you're gonna push it 100 and ping it again. And now you see this marker, it's like very bright. So if I hold F and scroll with mouse, I can see it's a multiple of them. So when it's so bright, like so white like this is gems. This is not rocks. How rocks look like, you again put on 0 or you can put on 50. You ping it again. Now you see you have this marker over there. And now I can push it again, put it on, like the basically is put the basically is to best to put on unknown where it says letter N. So that's the actual middle. And then you scroll it 4 up, ping it again, and you see now it says this is like individual rocks. So we can see that it's like this is actually 4 of them, I think, because it's one after another. And when they are so separately, that means that's actual rocks. This is not gems, you know, which you're supposed to mine with rock mining car. If you wanna see, like if you wanna search for them when you're flying, right? Usually what we do, we put this pierce on 50, and like I said, if you put on 75 or more to 100 and then you ping, right? You're not gonna see them anymore, these unknown markers. So unknown markers are locations where something is, but you cannot see them if you're over 50%. So just put like on 50, ping it again, you see, and now we can see them again. So if you wanna go closer with this pierce on 50 to show you immediately what you have there, for gems, right, this is gonna be under 1 kilometer. So now I'm flying there. So we're gonna see now if I'm gonna get to 1 kilometer. Now it doesn't show, and now it shows, you see, under 1 kilometer. So now we can see them here. So this is gems, right? And if you have this like small icons pointing down, white one, you see now this is this small gems which you mine with rock mining car. But if you have rocks, right? So now we're already too close here to show you, but I'm gonna go backwards. Let's see how far we need to go. So basically, if you're above 5 kilometers, it's not gonna show on 50% pierce angle. It's not gonna show individual rocks. So if you go like under 4.8, if you 4.5, you see it's still not showing. You're gonna go like 4.5, and now it's showing already. So just remember that if you further from that, it's not gonna show all individual rocks, right? On 50% pierce, and it's not recommended to fly and search for rocks on above 50%. So you put 50 or you put 0. Just don't put above it, because then you're not gonna see them. And one more thing is, if I now scan like this, you see this is like very far, 12 kilometers. I can scroll this full and point, ping. You see it's already showing me so far away that this is a cluster. So this is how this works, right? And now what we're gonna show you, it's if I put back on 50, this is the cluster area. This one is closer. So we're flying towards him, and now we're gonna check what we have, this each individual rocks. So I'm going closer, you see, and now you have these pointed markers. It's like arrows. So this is showing you when you're very close where exactly rocks are, and you can already see them like 3D, you know, underground. So if you wanna now see what's inside in mall, you just close V and press M, right? And this is now similar scanner like you have on your mining heads in the deck below. And you just go closer, I'm gonna shut off the light so you can see better. And now what we have here, this is what you can see, how much is mass, so how rock is big, resistance and instability, so you can know how to set up your mining modules, gadgets, laser heads, right, all that stuff. Composition, how is that overall in SU, in volume, right? And then what all materials you have and how much percentage is on that. So if you think you're not gonna take this rock, right, you just shut off M and press again V, put on 50%, and then you scan for another rock. And the thing what you need to do always, because on Lyria you can, on this moon, you can, we're on Lyria now, you can very fast fly. But to do that you need to be on nav mode. So put your Pierce on 50, press B, right? So if you turn off scanner, you see now it's pulling, but we're not gonna jump anywhere. We're just gonna fly on this, and then you need to scroll. You see this thing up for throttle, and now you fly fast. And you can press V again, right? Just be sure to be on 50, and now we can go fast to that unknown. So you're flying very fast. And now again, I'm gonna press B like under 4 kilometers, right? I can ping it. You see now it's showing me again all these clusters. I can just press M because I already know that they are here in front of me. And now normally we're gonna see each individual rock and check it. I can put lights on. You see, now we have this. So this rock, I think that maybe this one can be pretty big. Oh yeah, so we find very big rocks here. So you see, this one has, this is also what can happen. You can have two good, so this is tier 1 materials, and you can have two good materials together, and this is 50%. And this one can go sometimes to 65, around that, together, right? So getting actually more of this because there are two good materials, but usually it's only one. So we can like just take away backselect, so it's gonna be just these three on the bottom, right? Usually it's 3, but you can get also 4 like this. So this is much better option because together it's bringing much more percentage, and you can sell it normally for more.
As you see, this is a lot of information which you need to know even before you start to mine, because this all goes just from our experience and what we managed to figure out how it works, and a lot of other people who like to mine. We're just on the beginning still of starting to explain you stuff till this part of the video, so if you guys really like this information and you find it informative, like it, subscribe, and what is most important, share it with other players, especially new guys who are coming to Star Citizen, who would like to know everything about mining and become a professional, experienced miners. Let's start with the actual real knowledge about mining. For now, in the game, we have only 2 mining ships which we can use for mining and which are operational, and one of them is a starter ship, which is a mixed prospector. It's a single-seater ship, and in this ship everything you're gonna operate from one seat. That means flying and mining. In other hand, in Argo Mall, which is a multi-crew ship, you can't operate laser from a pilot seat, and that's why you're gonna be always running from pilot seat to the mining turrets and back to the pilot seat again. So that's why a lot of players don't like this, but this is normal thing how this is supposed to work, because this ship is not meant to be operated by one person. That's the reason why this running from upper deck, where it's the pilot seat, to down deck where you have these mining turrets, needs to get in your blood. So it's gonna be like a routine which you're gonna constantly do without even thinking about it. Now we can start to explain you about Argo Mall and features. Like for everything else, also for mining, we have meta things what people are using. For mining heads, we have 2 meta mining heads. For mining modules, we have like 4 main meta mining modules. And for gadgets, we have 4 meta gadgets. So let's begin with mining heads. So the main mining head, what you need to use, especially on the mall, its helix mining head, which is size 2. So everything on the mole is size 2, everything on the prospector is size 1. And this helix mining head, it's gonna be for breaking the biggest rocks. So this mining head has the highest power output, and it has 3 slots for the mining modules which you can put on this mining head. Second mining head is the host fate mining head. So this is must-have mining head on your mole, because this mining head has the biggest green optimal zone in which you need to hold your charge bar when you're breaking the rock. So it's very safe mining head, and it has the lowest starting mining power, which is essential thing to be able to break smaller parts of rocks which you need to break as a second breaks. And also this mining head have 2 slots for mining modules, right? So Helix has 3, this mining head has 2. What is concerned third laser? Lots of players are using something different that I am using. And that laser what I'm using, it's actually default one, the Arbor laser. So why this laser is so good to have as a single use or for maybe team use? For solo use, it has very good green zone where you need to hold your charge bar. Not so big like host fate, but it's very big. And also it has big instability drop, which no other laser have. And this is gonna help you a lot when you're gonna be mining, like second break parts, and you're gonna have continuum parts or terranite parts, the materials which has big instabilities. Because the more pure part is, and the more bigger it is, the bigger instability is. So with this laser, you can, overcome that struggle to not overcharge the rock if you're not, so experienced miner, right? If you're just starting. Even some players who already mine longer gonna have much, easy time to do it like that. But where this laser is very good is when you have team mining. So you have at least 2 people in the mole. And then when you break, for example, with Helix and host fate together some big rock, you're gonna have parts which you need to break again. And then the guy who is on Helix, he's gonna change his place to Arbor. And then you're gonna combine Arbor and the host fate together, and you're gonna create extremely good conditions, if you wanna say it like that, to break these smaller parts. Because both this laser, Arbor and host fate, they have low starting point. Together they have big green zone, and also they have big instability drop because of Arbor. So basically with combining these 2, for you players who are playing longer and playing before 3.19, you're basically getting that old Lancet laser if you combine these 2. Only down part of Arbor laser is that he has the biggest resistance increase. And this laser you're supposed to use as a single laser when you need to break some second pieces which are around like maybe 6 to 8 tons, not maybe bigger than that. And if you have something which is unstable but is smaller than this, because this laser is very fine laser, right? It works so great, but it's the most weakest one and has this biggest resistance increase, so you can use it everywhere. So in that case you need to switch to host fate laser, which even if it has 10% instability increase, it still has bigger green zone, so it's compensating for that. For me personally, these 3 lasers, Helix, host fate and Arbor, are 3 main like a primary lasers. And then we have 3 lasers which can be like support lasers. These 3 lasers are Impact, Klein and Lancet, with Lancet be the worst, which in the past before 3.19 was the best laser. What is concerned Impact laser, this laser has very big starting point on the lowest power, so that's why it's not so great for the second breaks. It has 3 slots, which is a great thing, and one more thing what it has the fastest extraction power. So basically this laser is created to be a laser for collecting only. So if you have like a huge team mining somewhere on some moon and you have just ship for collecting, this is laser with which you need to equip these ships. So you put like 3 impact lasers, and you can put like some modules for filtering, inert materials, so it's gonna be more pure. And you can put also modules for even increasing faster extraction power. So this thing is, just instantly collecting everything. So this is for what this laser is created. I mean, you can use it as a third laser on your mole. If you really want to, you can combine some, mining modules on him, and it's gonna be also great laser. But for me, this laser is not so important like first 3. Then we have Klein laser, on which the biggest thing, what is improvement, is resistance drop, because he has minus 45%, which is the biggest from all the lasers. But this laser has also a huge starting point on the lowest output power, and he has also only 1 slot for module, right? And instability on this laser is the biggest. So that's why I just don't recommend this laser, especially not for new people, because you're gonna blow up everything. Because it has big resistance drop, right? But a big increase in stability, and that's just not good mix for the new players. That's why this laser is just like, some support laser which you can really use if you can put it in your ship, like, manually on the floor, just to take it with you. And also now on the last place we have Lancet, which also have 2 slots. It's a little bit more powerful than Host Fate, who has like the same power as a Klein, but it has huge starting power point, on the lowest output power, and it's just below the Helix, what is concerned that. So that's why it's not good. And it has optimal charge window, the smallest, which is minus 60%, and that's just terrible for mining. Especially if you get like Continuum or Taranite, you have huge instabilities, and then you have your optimal green zone thin as a needle. That's just worst case scenario that you can get in mining. What is concerned mining modules, we have also like 4 main meta modules which are using, and 2 of them are passive modules and 2 of them are active modules. So what that means, passive module and active module. Passive modules are modules which you put as a default on your mining heads, and they are constantly giving you these benefits whenever you turn your laser on. But active modules are modules which you need to turn on with holding Alt, and then you have numbers 1, 2, and 3 on your keyboard, on your left side where you have numbers. And then it depends how much slots for modules mining have, so much you can put modules on and then turn them on with this Alt 1, Alt 2, Alt 3. It just depends how much of them you have, right? And these active modules are lasting from like, for example, 15 seconds to 60 seconds, and you can use them from like 3 times to 10 times. This all depends which modules you have, and you use. That's why they're called active modules, because after you spend them, after 6-7 uses, depends how much you have, they're gonna fall off from mining head, from the ship, and then you need to manually with tractor beam set up another this active module on your mining head. This is how this works. And because of that reason, you need to carry a lots of these active mining modules in your backpack or in your ship inventory, or you can put also like now these new 1 SU or 2 SU boxes in the mall in the back through the elevator, and put all these mining modules or gadgets or all other like gear, whatever you want, from armors, from med pens, from drinks, in that box. And you can just very easily put this box out of the ship to your local inventory, or put it back in the new ship if you need to claim it. These 4 meta modules what we're using are, first 2 are passive ones, and they are Focus 3 module, which is increasing green zone, optimal range green zone for 40%, and also Riger C3 module, which is increasing power of the laser for 25%. And from active modules, we have Stampede module, which is increasing power of the mining laser head for 35%, and it's also dropping instability of the rock for 10%. And the surge module is the second one. This one is increasing power for 50%, but is dropping resistance also for minus 15%. Only bad part in surge is that also increases the instability for 10. So if you're using like surge and stampede together, then you don't have any increase or decrease of the instability, right? So it's canceling, it's on zero. These four meta modules, you're gonna constantly keep exchanging and putting up and down from mining heads. And you're gonna exchange these active ones constantly because you're gonna spend them. So that's gonna be your primary job in mining. Constantly go out from ship, putting new modules on, go back in the ship, set up the ship, and so on and so on. So this is what mining is now, right? Only in case if you wanna choose a different path to just mine smaller rocks, like maybe till 20 tons, 25, then you don't even need to use so much modules and gadgets which you can put on the rock, right? But that's up to you if you really want to do it that way. We have many more modules which you can use, but only one that I'm gonna mention is the filtering module for filtering inert materials. So all the mining heads are already filtering the inert materials from rocks when you collect them, right? When they're ready for collecting, for like 30 to 40%, right? Immediately. But if you're using these modules like this one, FLTRL module, which is cheaper one, he's filtering minus 23% more these inert materials. So if you wanna really filter this inert to carry much more valuable ore from what you're gonna collect from rock, the inert materials are only materials which are filtered out. So with these modules, to put them maybe on some HOSFET head, you need 2 of them, or you can, in case if you wanna use the impact laser, put 3 of them. You can basically totally filter out these inert materials. But like I said, they're already filtered out with mining head, and in more than half cases you're not gonna have inert when you're gonna be collecting these small pieces on the end of the breaking of the rock. These filtering modules you should not put immediately as a default on your mining heads, but you're supposed to carry them in the ship inventory or in that box which you can put inside the ship. So you're gonna exchange them when you're gonna need it. So you again need to go out from the ship and put them on after you're gonna break everything, and then you can collect and filter everything out, whatever you can. As we said before, we have 4 meta gadgets. Gadgets are very important in breaking huge rocks, even if you mine single, alone, or if you're mining with a team. So they're extremely valuable, and now you're supposed to use them all the time for bigger rocks, right? For small ones you don't have to put them on because you have enough power, right, to crack without them, but they're gonna give you a lots of beneficial things if you're gonna put them on the rock for bigger stones which are very hard to break. These modules are Sabir, Waveshift, Bormax, and Optimax. So Sabir module you using when you need to break the biggest rocks possible, because he gives minus 50% resistance drop, and he also gives optimal charge window size bigger for 50%. The only down part of Sabir is that it gives you also 15% increase in instability, right? So when you mine alone, it's gonna be a problem for you, but you just need to use that gadget because that's only one which can make you crack the biggest possible rocks alone, and also when you're mining as a team. Waveshift gadget, it's very good gadget because it gives you laser instability minus 35%, and it gives you 100% bigger window. So when you have something extremely unstable, like rocks like Quantanium or maybe Taranite, this gadget you're gonna be placing on rocks which are not like top size, right? This is something for maybe between middle and large rocks, because that gadget doesn't have resistance drop. So if you're gonna mine alone, you're not gonna be able to move the bar on the biggest rocks, right? What you can possibly break alone or even with a team. So this goes for both ways. Bormax gadget, it's having even bigger instability drop, but it has increase in resistance, but it has also this cluster modifier. So this gives you option that your material is gonna stick more together, so you're gonna have better breaks. This gadget is not wisely to use on the materials in rocks which have low green zone, right? That's why it's better to use wave shift in that option, because rocks like gold, which has very thin, green zone, if you put the Bormax on and you use like a helix laser without any focus 3 module, you're gonna have like the needle thin optimal green window size, and this can be catastrophic for you if you're gonna try to break that. It's one more great use of Bormax gadget, and this is when you're doing multi-ship mining, because they make the game work like this, that if you mine one rock with one mole and you're adding another ship to that same rock, the instability grows double. So because of the biggest instability drop on Bormax gadget, that's the best gadget that you can put in that case, and then it's very safe mining with connecting two ships and that gadget on the rock. And the last gadget that we have, it's Optimax, which has resistance drop minus 30%, so that's very good. And the only other thing what it has is this cluster modifier. So people have the wrong thinking about that gadget. They think that this gadget is gonna give you much better breaks than they actually give you, that it's gonna give you good breaks how we wanted to have good breaks, but that's not the truth about that. The only situation where I can recommend this Optimax gadget to really help you with this clustering materials together, which can give you in the rock this tier 2 materials till 60% maximum. So when you look for these rocks and you're gonna see maybe a rock like a Boras or a Beryl, Hephaestion, something like that, this is all tier 2 materials, they're gonna go till 60% in the rock. So when you have that situation where it's like 53, 55, 57 to 60, right? Then you use Optimax. Because when you're mining tier 2 materials, you need to be aware that these materials are not so valuable like tier 1 materials. So tier 1 materials are one OSU, it's like 7.6k, and tier 2 materials are like from 2.3 to 3.6, maybe 3.3. So it's basically more than half less. So because of that reason, you need to fill up your mole with pure tier 2 materials. You're not gonna have something else in your ship, and then you can get from 200 to 300k in one run. So Optimax is gonna give you these breaks much more perfect, and it's gonna be pure breaks. Maybe 1-2 pieces gonna be less than 100%, but this you can only achieve mostly on these tier 2 materials, right? So it's much more beneficial to use other gadgets on the tier 1 materials and Continuum than this Optimax gadget, because it's very big difference from our experience between 60% of good material in the rock than 50%, and this makes a huge difference in mining and collecting pure pieces, right? So you can also have some pure pieces also in tier 1 materials and Continuum, but this is mostly gonna help you that type of gadget in tier 2 materials. So just remember that very good. And also in next videos I'm gonna try to show you how these almost pure collections of the tier 2 materials look like, and how they're supposed to look like with using these Optimax gadgets, and bringing basically the whole ship full of tier 2 materials and only pure ore, so it's not mixed with something else. This is basically all theory about this equipment, what you need to use with your mole mining ship. And now I also gonna show you here my setup in my mole, which is my default setup, what I always using. And then when we need something else, I always exchanging manually outside of the ship when we land and when we're in the front of rock, which we're gonna mine. So this is my setup. So as you see, I'm using Helix as a primary laser in front. I'm using host fade laser on the right side, and then be using Arbor default laser, which you usually get on all three mining turrets when you buy them all, right? So this is that default laser, and he's on the left side, on the left turret. And on the Helix laser, I'm always using Riger C3, one focus tree, and one stampede module. On the host fade, I'm using focus tree and also one stampede module. And on the left side, on the Arbor, I'm using two Rigers C3. So that's my default setup. As you see, this is a lot of passive modules which cost the most money. So I can always have them if something happens and I need to, claim my ship. Now we're gonna finally show you how to mine alone and how to mine with the team. And as you see here, I am in my mall where I have in front of me my two SU box, and here inside I have a lots of these gadgets and also a lot of mining modules. This solar rock, what we're gonna crack, is gonna be a quantanium rock which we can break alone. And you see I'm choosing now the wave shift from all the gadgets because this rock is not the biggest rock, so I don't have to use something to give me the biggest resistant drop, like gadget Sabir. And also I'm gonna use Stampede and Surge module. As you see here, I'm normally putting them out because of that bug, because I cannot put them on the floor outside of the ship, so I need to carry them out. And here on the right side you can also see additional mining head, that's Helix, which we're using for team mining, right? And usually I have two of them. But you see here, when you're dropping these modules on the elevator, the ship moves. That's also happening with mining heads if you drop them or anything else, and ship can explode actually because of that. And now we are carrying that in front. We're gonna exchange that on our mining head. And now you're gonna see we have a small arrows which are showing us how we need to remove these used modules. And you see I'm pushing into the right because arrows are always showing counterclockwise. So this one I need to push to the left down, right? And now when you're placing these modules has like a small pipe in the back. So this needs to face towards the back of the ship. If you look carefully, you're gonna see it's like a small pipe which is facing to the back. And you're gonna see it by yourself when you're gonna see the modules. And now we're gonna place a gadget. So like we said, we take a wave shift gadget. So you first place it on your backpack, then in your hand. And now we need to 2 times click a detach button on the right corner to see a blueprint on the rock. And now we just click left click and it's gonna attach it on the rock. And you see this is that again same bug which is upside down showing this whole gadget. And now you need to just push this gadget to 90% or more. So it doesn't matter if it's more than 90, it just needs to be 90 or more. And now you can press activate. So this is now all set. We are back now in our ship, in our front mining laser turret, where we have equipped the Helix size 2 mining head. And now I'm searching for, perfect distance from the rock, which we already placed our ship to be. And that distance is under 30 meters. So it needs to be 30 or under 30. As you see here, I'm 27, so that's good. And now we're gonna use our active modules with holding Alt and turning them with number 1 and 2. And third module, which is already equipped, is Riger C3. So with these 3 modules, we have the maximum possible power that we can get through the laser, right? But on the rock is equipped the wave shift gadget, which is not reducing the biggest drop, if you want to say, of the resistance. But for this case of mining, for this rock, it's good. And you see here on the right side where it says laser intensity, I'm trying to hold this percentage of power on 30-31%, right? Because that's exactly enough for this rock to be braked. And if you put just 1 or 2% more, it's already jumping to red. That's why you need to have very big patience with mining to not push and force speed, in mining to break the rocks. You always need to try to break as slow as possible, not as fast as possible. That's completely wrong. Now we are just checking all the pieces to see how big they are, and you can see that some of them are going almost to like 10 tons. So that's mean that that's gonna be maybe on the border for arbor laser to break these pieces, especially if they have huge percentage of continuum like this one, 72%. That could be struggle for arbor, and because of that we're gonna use phosphate laser to cracking these pieces, right? We can use on smaller ones arbor, but we don't have so much of them which are gonna be pure, so that's why phosphate lasers is gonna be pretty good on this. And now when we're gonna check all this, we're gonna get in the side lasers, and now I'm gonna show you one more trick what you can do. So before you're gonna place your ship a little bit further, because you're supposed to do that, because you're gonna damage your ship and your modules can fall off if you have 100% pure pieces of continuum. They're gonna, release too much pressure when they're gonna crack, even if you break it in green. You need to put yourself like maybe with side lasers to maybe like 60 meters, so you're gonna have basically the minimum distance for perfect breaks, right? For perfect optimal distance from the rocks. And then I'm placing my ship, so my right laser is gonna face the gadget which is on the floor, because the rule is that always you're supposed to take gadgets inside the ship after first break, because second breaks, if the stones are pure, can destroy your gadget. So you see, now I'm in the opening, and you're gonna see it's a like blinking red light, so this is indicated that the gadget is there. So even if it's like night, you can see it even better. And now we're just putting this gadget in the ship with tractor beam, and normally I'm gonna just store it in my backpack or in the ship inventory. It doesn't matter where you put it, but this is what you're supposed to always do after first break, right? Not when you break everything. Now we are in our phosphate laser on the right side, and now we're gonna try to break that biggest almost 10-ton piece with over 74% continuum. And now you're gonna see one thing, why the perfect optimal distance from rock matters. So this is one of the most important things that you need to remember, and that's why you need to always perfectly place your ship, even if that requires to go few times from your pilot seat to the mining seat and checking. So as you see here, I'm pushing 100% phosphate laser, and I'm also using on the left side, you can see the timer is going down on Stampede module. So this is my default setup, right? I'm using Focus 3 always in Stampede as a default. And you can see that also on 100% power with Stampede module, I cannot push that fast enough up. And the mistake which is causing that is that we are not perfectly 60 meters from the rock, which is a perfect optimal range for phosphate laser. And this is what we say also in previous videos I did before, that every laser has different optimal range. And you see here it's 69, and it's supposed to be 60 or less, right? But we were moving our ship backwards, so we can not getting so much damage when we cracking these small pieces, which we're gonna do. Now we already move 10 more meters closer our ship, and you see what I'm doing now. Now I'm removing the old Stampede which I already used, and I'm placing the new one from this opening. So yes, you can do that from the opening. You just turn that pipe part towards you, and slowly you're pushing it underneath where the old Stampede was. And that's why I'm always putting these active modules, if I only have one of them, underneath where's the chin of the laser, so I can do this thing, you know, from the ship directly. So this is all speeding up your mining, you know, it's making it more simpler and more convenient, if you want to say it like that. And now you're gonna see what this 10 meters closer it's gonna do, that it's gonna allow us actually to break this almost 10-ton piece, right? Because as you see, it says composition almost 20 SU on the right side. So that means that we're gonna get from this stone maybe like 15 SU of quantanium, and 10 SU it's 250,000 in money, right? So this is over 300k just in this piece, right? And you see now the green zone is smaller, but actually it's bigger, and this is the bug where what we have constantly in this game, because it's supposed to be tiny bit bigger, right, than it is, but it shows smaller. But I'm gonna try to you know, break it, and you're gonna see now I'm now trying to determine again which is the best percentage to hold it on, right? So it's like around 35 to 40, right? 40 is already too much. And the problem that you're gonna have in mining constantly because of low performance of servers is that you cannot scroll with your mouse by 1%. So it's gonna jump, you know, 2%, 3, 4, 5, 7, you know, it's not gonna allow you to be precise. And this is the biggest cancer in mining, right? For mining, you just need to have perfect servers if you wanna, you know, play with these small, tiny green windows and be cracking this, you know, best rocks what you can possibly crack, because they're always gonna have the small green zone, and they're gonna be pure, right? That this is the whole reason why the green zone is actually so small, because it's more quantanium than inert. And if that was like 100% quantanium, this green bar would be even smaller. So as you see here, I'm taking a lots of time, and you need to be a lots of patient to play with this, to try to get it, you know, next to the green, to not overcharge. Because like we said before, just 1-2% more in laser intensity, it's enough to push, you know, the bar in a half red, right? So that's why you need to have big patience with that. And now I'm still, you know, try to like click that part which is invisible of green, because this green, it really needs to be tiny bit bigger than it is, right? And you can saw that in this first try that we make before we exchange the, you know, Stampede module. And you see it now here, I'm not even touching the green and it's already going. So this is that proof that the green is supposed to be bigger, but the game, it shows it smaller, right? So that's why I always try to push it very slowly, because sometimes this is gonna be happening to you. And now, you know, the rock is cracked, and now we didn't lose anything, right? So it was perfect crack, but like you see, it requires a lot of patience, you know, and dedication to not overcharge that thing, because it's just not worth it to lose that. And as you see here, now the our Stampede mining module, it's falling down because we completely used it, and now, you know, we need to replace it again if we really need it. But for all these other pieces, we don't need, you know, a Stampede module, because they are smaller and we're gonna be able to break them. And you're gonna see how this, you know, jumps very easily just with, you know, few percentage more laser intensity. So that's why you need to be extremely careful when you're doing this, right? Never rush it, right? I'm showing you all these kinds of things that can happen, so you guys can be prepared, you know, when you're gonna mine. You see, that's why in this piece, because it's 5 tons and it's like only half percentage of quantanium, it's much better to use arbor laser, because you see instability is almost 50 on the right side. That's why, Alba laser is, so fine laser and so steady, laser what is concerning stability, because normally it drops in stability to the minimum from all ultra lasers. And that's why it's a great thing to have it for the smaller pieces. I'm gonna speed up now all this process because, it's just repeating, everything. And as you see, the green zone is bigger, and now we can very easily crack all the stones. And you can see now we have in the right side, we already collect in this run backselect and gold. You can see it says 23 SU backselect and 14 SU of gold. And that's why our glass on front laser was already dirty, because I was already mining, right? And then I managed to find this continuum rock. And now you're gonna see, even if I am like more than half full with this, I'm gonna still collect around 33 SU of continuum. And you need to know that 10 SU is 250k, right? So 30 SU it's 750k, right? And but the thing is that each refinery normally it takes away a little bit of your or what you deliver, because it's purifying it, it's the same like in real life. So on this like 33 SU of continuum, we're gonna actually lost 4 SU, right? So it's gonna be around 29. But this is almost the 750k, or maybe let's say 700k, what we're gonna get from continuum only. And we're gonna get also from backselect and gold, like maybe near 200k, right? So this is gonna be a near 1 million run in mining, so that's why you need to understand that mining can be very fruitful if you know what you're doing, and normally if you find good rocks. But continuum is very rare to find, and as you see here, I'm just showing now 33 SU, and also it's 38, 39 of SU of backselite and gold all together before I was mining continuum. So now we're in the refinery, and now we're gonna show you on small consoles first. This is where you can sell directly your stuff, but you're gonna get the half money less if you're not refining. But we can still see now, you see how it's our run. It says 453k. So that means that our after refinement is gonna be around 900k, right? So here we're selecting our ship on the left side. So this is our ship. It says 9082. So now we're selecting first Dynex solventation. That's the best one, but it takes the longest. And we're selecting backselect, continuum, and gold. And you see here it takes 93 hours. So that's almost 4 full days in real life, how much it takes to refine. And we need to pay almost 39k in money to do that refinery ticket, right? So this is how much it's gonna be less. Now we're gonna do calculation of what we deliver. So also with backselect and gold, not just continuum. And you need to just know that continuum, 1 SU is worth it 25k. 1 SU of backselite is worth it almost 7.9k. And 1 SU of gold is like around 7.5k. And with this in mind, now we can calculate continuum. Here we have 2902. We need to calculate not with 25, but we need to add one more decimal number, so it's 250. And then we're gonna get the price of 725k, right? We're just gonna put it on the full numbers. And also for backselect, that means we have 2054 times 7.9, which is supposed to be 79, and that equals 162k. And also for gold, we have 1338 times 75, right? So as a full number, and that equals 100k. So all that together is basically 987k, and when we reduce it by like 45k, which is you know how much we spend for fuel and modules and refinery cost, it's gonna be around 940k pure. But now we're gonna show you, you know, the team mining. And as you see here, we have a rock which is over 100 tons. And yes, we're gonna break it with this same default setup what I'm using always. And this is, you know, helix laser in front, phosphate on the right, and arbor default one on the left. And as you see here, we have two helix mining heads still for a reserve in our ship if we need to break the biggest possible rocks ever what you can find on surface. So what I'm putting out now, to be able to crack this rock, we need actually the highest power output. So that means then on all three lasers we need to put Stampede and Surge, and also on front helix laser, because you have 3 slots modules, we're gonna leave there the Riger C3 module on. Because of that bug, again, what I was explaining in the beginning of the video, that you cannot drop them on the surface, on the floor, these all mining modules, we need to normally do that again, you know, here on the floor in the ship, and then put them all out normally in the surface. And here I forgot to put also the gadget, you know, we're gonna use the Sabir. So this is what I'm setting up now. For this, my default setup is the maximum power output and the maximum resistance drop that you can have with this mining gadget and with these mining modules. So as you see, I'm putting out, I need to put 6 of them out. So 3 Stampedes, 3 Surges, and Riger C3 is already on the front helix laser, right? And now also guys are helping with setting them up, so it's gonna go faster. So, you know, when you're mining with team, team needs to be, you know, have experience together, right? If you have some new players, normally they cannot know stuff. That's a different story, right? But if you have like, you know, players who are mining longer with, they're already gonna know the drill, and they're just gonna keep, you know, you just tell them what they need to do, and they're gonna know how to place them on which spots, and you know, to set that correctly and pretty fast, right? And as you see here, we are moving this ship. Sometimes when you detach these modules away or you bump with them into ship, it's just ridiculous, you know, how this works sometimes. But this is how you know, sometimes you can flip the ship with that, right? And also, like these lasers on Mole, they're extracting always under the landing gear. So if the players are in the lasers, or they go in the laser when the ship is down, it can also turn, you know, and flip ship, and then you cannot get inside it if you don't have like another, you know, smaller ship to maybe turn it back over, so it's gonna stand on his own landing gear, right? One more thing which is very important is that optimal distance from the rock, right? So that's why if you have setup like this, where you have host fate on the right side and arbor on the left, on maybe 2 host fates, right? You can also use that setup, like 2 host fates on the sides and helix mining head in the front. Helix always needs to be on the front with this type of setups, because difference between the distance between front laser and back lasers, it's around some maybe 10-15 meters, and normally helix laser always needs to have the smallest distance, which is optimal for him. So that means that if you put it in front, the side lasers don't have to go so much more closer to the rock, because the front laser is already pretty close, right? So if you put helix laser on 30 meters or less, all other lasers, if they are not helixes, they're gonna be in good position, so they're gonna be under 60 meters or less, or under like 90 meters or less, right? But both of them, they need to be, if they're 2 host fates or host fate and arbor, under 60 meters or less. Now all 3 players are already in the ship, and we're now gonna try to adjust the lengths of the lasers. So I'm asking the right operator on the right laser if he can tell me if he has like around 50, between 45 and 50 distance from his laser, because this is gonna exactly tell me how much I need to be closer with my laser, right? So if he has like around 50, depends of the rock shape, that doesn't mean that that's gonna be close enough for front laser. So always put your ship a little bit closer, then a little bit further, so you don't have to do it twice, right? And now we're gonna check what it's gonna say for us here on the left side, and you see that I think I cannot get, yeah, you see it says 39. That's the indicator that I need to go like 10 meters closer. And now what I'm talking to them is to put exactly their lasers where I'm pointing mine. So they're gonna calculate how much is gonna save for them on their optimum distance. So if here's optimal distance is, for example, I don't know, 49, then I need to get so much closer, right? 10 meters closer to get my laser on 30 or less, right? Because it doesn't matter if the other lasers are closer than they're supposed to be. The matter is that all lasers are on perfect optimal distance from the rock or closer, because that is not gonna remove the maximum power output from all the lasers. That's only thing what is important, right? So you can get the maximum what you can possibly get from all three lasers, especially on this type of brakes where it's like over 100 tons, which you need to like just drain the maximum power towards that rock. Now you can clearly see on the left side up where it says optimal that my distance is basically under the 30 meters, or it can be exactly 30, but you should never put it above that with helix laser. That's the key to have always maximum power out. And now the all three lasers we are pushing 100%, and we are applying, holding Alt and pressing number 1 and 2 for first slots for these active modules, and we're always using normally for this type of brakes surges and stampedes on all three lasers, because this rock is huge and it's not gonna go with anything else if you have these three lasers, right? If you put two helixes, normally it's gonna give more power, it's gonna be more resistance drop, right? But I want to show you like so I can prove to you that that's possible also with this setup, which is the most weakest one if you want to say it like that, but it's the most secure one, because now the instability is the lowest. We have pretty nice green, even if it's this gold, which has the worst green from three tier 1 materials. And normally we put the Sabir on the rock, which gives also 50% bigger green, and all this together is gonna be very nice break of this huge capital rock, if you want to say it like that. I speed up again this part of the video where we're breaking smaller parts, and we're gonna start to collect. And normally here both guys on side lasers gonna work always together, so you're not breaking with one laser one piece and then breaking other piece with another laser, because I mean you can always do that normally, like if you have bigger experience, but if you have these materials which has lower green and they're pretty unstable, right? So this is basically all these materials, Continuum and tier 1 materials, Baxter, Terranet and Gold. This is the best option that you can get, right? Put Arbor and Hosfet together, and they together can break pretty big rock. You see here it's like 13 tons, right? So this is 56% gold, and even bigger than that you can break together. Only in case if it's like Continuum or maybe a 25 ton piece with pure gold, or maybe Continuum or something like that, then you're not gonna be able to have enough power with two, these side lasers with arbor and hostfed. Then you also need to use helix laser on that, or maybe like on minimum power. Really good option normally also is like two hostfed lasers on the side, because they give even bigger green, right? But with hostfed lasers, like I said before, instability grows, because one hostfed laser has increase in instability 10%, so with two of them it's 20, right? So if it's something like Puntanium or Taranite, even if you have big green, you can still very easily push it to the red, even if the red is, smaller, but you can still destroy the rock, especially if somebody is mining who doesn't have so much big experience, in mining. And normally from all these materials, always is best to mine, if you mine tier 1 materials, first Baxelite, then Terranite, then gold as the last option, because gold you get more than 1 times less in comparison to Baxelite, right? So that's why the density of the materials also matters, and I'm gonna show you this in all other videos that I'm gonna do next after this one, so I'm gonna explain everything. We are back in refinery, and now we're gonna show you how much we get from this huge rock, which is not much. And here on the small consoles, again, you can see immediately how much you will get if you wanna just sell it immediately. And just this number you need to multiply with 2, so basically this 130, 40k, 150, it's basically 300k when it's gonna be refined. The reason for that is that we have tungsten as a second material, and tungsten has the lowest density, right? And because of that, we just get around 300k from that rock. If that rock was, for example, aluminum, which is also material which you get on Lyria as a second material, we would get like around 800k. So this is the huge difference, right? And with also like Corona, which is like a third material, we're gonna get like maybe 700k in gold, right? So this is what it makes differences in mining, and I'm gonna, like I said, explain this in next videos, where we're gonna have like individual rocks, and then I'm gonna explain everything about them and materials, what is better, what is worse, and all that stuff. All data for mining I'm always using from Red Monster Gaming, and I'm gonna put his link into description. And you can see now here what I'm showing you. This is all these mining charts, which I little bit rearrange, and I also resize them so you can open them in 1440p size in your browser, and when you enlarge them, they're gonna be through the whole screen exactly, so you can maximum see everything. And also this like first two what I was showing, it's for what is most important things, what I think what is most important, so you can have everything on one picture, so you don't have to scroll pictures. This rearranged and enlarged mining charts you can find also in our Discord. Also gonna put link from Discord here in description, and normally you can just open them there and just enlarge them in your browser, so you can always use them. In the meantime, when I was recording all this footage for mining, already the new 3.24, the cargo hauling patch dropped. And now we're in this like extra large hangar, which you can get if you have like Reclaimer or 890 jump. With this new 3.24 cargo hauling patch, nothing changed in mining. So mining stays the same, and all these bugs stay the same. If you manage to make something to work how it's supposed to work, great for you. If you not, just use these tips and tricks what I show you on the beginning of the video. It's huge amount of information what you're supposed to know, if you want to be like experienced miner and do it professional, if you want to say it like that. And I could just keep talking more and more about mining, but this video is just already too long. That's why I'm gonna make much more videos, which is gonna be very short, and they're gonna be about breaking rocks individually and also with the team. And I'm gonna be explaining all about these materials and our setups, what we're using and what's basically the best to use, so you have the best experience with it. Mining you really need to love to do, and you need to be somebody who is really into that type of mechanics, because Basically, this all, using mining modules and gadgets and different mining heads, it's basically like some first glimpse of actual crafting in the game. It's like you're making potions. So you just need to look that all with right perspective, and then you're gonna understand why all this information and everything what you need to use, it's important. I hope this all information is gonna be useful for all you guys who already mine longer and maybe didn't see some things what I'm showing here, and also for the new players who just start to get in the game and really want to try and learn mining. If all this data is gonna be, guys, helpful for everybody who is gonna watch this video, normally please like and share this all information with other players who wanna get into mining and you think maybe they need help with it. And normally subscribe, guys, because a lot of players are not subscribing and they're still coming to videos to watch. It's just easier to subscribe, then you're gonna get notification when the new videos online. In comments below, guys, you can always share what you experienced in mining, what problems you have, how you solve them, and also like what's the biggest rocks that you crack and where you're finding them, if it's even in space or on surface, doesn't matter. And also you can ask me any type of question about mining here and I'm gonna answer to everybody, so it's not problem at all. If you're struggling with something, just ask. This is all from me, guys, for now. Stay tuned for more videos, and what is most important, guys, don't be lazy and have big patience with mining and you're gonna be successful. See you next time. Bye bye.